I'm Fred Ruotolo. I'm one of the partners here at Arizona Law Group, and I specialize in family law matters. And family law matters means everything from divorce to after divorce to just child support to paternity and everything in between. I grew up in New York, which I've been told I still have an accent, but I don't hear it. We moved to Arizona when I was 14 years old. But so I say I grew up in New York, but I also feel I grew up in Arizona as well. Specifically in Long Island, specifically in Dix Hills, which was just a beautiful area to grow up in. And with the passage of time, the memories only get better. So it was a wonderful place to grow up. What brought us to Arizona was my father always wanted to retire here, and he said, why wait to retirement? So he was always applying to firms here in Arizona, and Motorola, he's a mechanical engineer, and Motorola made him an offer, and the rest is history. How I got into law is kind of a serendipitous way or a funny way. I was a business major at ASU, and as a business major, you had to take a law class, a business law class, and I just fell in love with it. Totally surprised, because when I was in high school, I thought I was going to major in history, and I had spoken to a history professor who said, well, if you major in history, you're going to wind up going to law school. And that kind of went over my head as a high school student hearing that. Well, law school, what's that really? I had no idea of that. So then the fact that I wound up in law school anyway was kind of funny. That history professor was right, although I got into law school through business, as a business undergrad, not as a history undergrad. See, I've been practicing since 1992. I've been with small firms. I've been on my own as a one-man shop. I've been a founding partner to eventually what had over 20 employees in both Scottsdale and Chandler. And then I went back on my own, and then I went with a friend of mine who had a firm, and I was there for about 7 years, and I wanted something different, and I met with Scott, and Scott is a wonderful person to work with, and I decided to make the move, and I've been here since 2017. Probably what I really feel I was rewarded in this area of law is I did take the specialist exam, and I did pass the specialist exam. I am a specialist in family law, and at that time when I took it, I believe there were only 70 of us that were specialists. So it was a small little club. Now obviously more have taken the special exam. So I think that was one of the most rewarding things. On a daily basis, what's rewarding is just when clients are happy with the result. And in doing family law, it's hard for somebody to be happy that they're getting divorced or have to pay alimony or have to receive alimony in a lower amount than they thought they should be receiving. So, but when you have a client that's really happy with how things worked out, that's very rewarding. One of the most memorable cases I had, and it goes to what I just said about a client's being happy. It was a post decree, which means the parties were already divorced, and the husband had stock options, or actually RSUs, but stock options in essence, and that were going to be exercised years after the divorce was done, and the wife would receive her share at that time. Well, the wife felt she didn't receive all of them, so she felt that she started an action or negotiations to get more, and we went back and forth, and my client finally came to me and says, you know, Fred, I had dinner with my ex-wife last night, and I said, if I keep the money, when I pass away, the money's going to go to our son, and if I give you the money, when you pass away, the money's going to go to our son. So we're really just holding this extra money for our son. So he says, you know what, Fred, call her lawyer, tell them that, we'll pay X, whatever the amount was, and we'll end this. And that ended it. till this day, I think that was one of the greatest things I ever heard a client say. He goes, "What are we fighting over money? Our son's going to get it anyway." But no good deed goes unpunished, because several years later I heard from him again, and he says she wants more from another asset that we would divide up. But we still have a laugh about that, and that too also settled. But for someone to say, you know what are we fighting over? It's money that at our stage in our life, our son's going to get anyway. What I like most about family law is it's very personal. It's being a counselor. A lot of the job is being a counselor, because you're dealing with emotional issues as opposed to just a financial issue. Say if you're doing civil law or negligence law, injury law. So it's just heavily people involved, and I think that's what I really enjoy about it, though, is that the total involvement with somebody over very personal matters, and trying to navigate the legal system and get both parties to a happy result, so they could both end their marriage or co-parent peacefully afterward. Some of my interests and hobbies out of work, as I mentioned earlier, I thought I was going to be a history major out of high school. So history is my passion. I always say, all the good lawyers should be frustrated military historians, and you'll see that the good lawyers are frustrated military historians. So that's my passion. Off-duty hours is military history.